Hey, it's Nay, and welcome back, or welcome to Nay's Little Garden and Home. So, I want to come on here. I think this is going to be a very good video for a lot of people. We just did a video about like the heat mats, the domes, the tents versus just, out in your home. And I thought that video was also a really good video. This one is going to be also pertinent, and we will be starting more seeds. I am only going to start a little bit of tomato seeds. We are now working on the second half of February, so I'm doing good, but I have to start just a couple of tomato seeds. But it's going to be mostly more pepper seeds. So grab you a drink and a snack, and we have something interesting I feel like we can talk about. So I do think that gardening and just about any other hobby can get very, very expensive. And as you move through any hobby, I do think it's natural for you to want to slowly make some upgrades, and realistic. I also think it's realistic to never have those upgrades because the cheaper things work for you. So I want to talk on some cheaper alternatives to seed starting. This is nothing to do with the lighting and where you're placing your seeds. That is a whole nother conversation. This is just the actual stuff that you're using to start your seeds and how this can save you a ton of money. Plastic is something we use in an overabundance. Single-use plastic. I am not going to have the conversation today pertaining to microplastics. I know it's a serious concern. I understand that. However, if you are not heating the plastic and or keeping the plastic for an extremely long time, like holding the stuff in there, you are having a lot less microplastics than, say, getting produce from someplace else that might not be as mindful of that, right? So that is what I'm going to say on the microplastic situation. I've fallen down the rabbit hole, and this is something that I've become fully aware of. And I'm going to only talk about this for 1 minute, so maybe skip to the next minute if you don't want to have this conversation right now. But I find that when it comes to more old school hobbies, there are a lot of people that like to instill fear to keep you in those old school hobbies. I am not here to fear monger. I do not feel like fear is sustainable. Homesteading, great. Gardening, great. Cooking things from scratch, great. Wearing natural fibers, great. Using natural ingredients that go into your body and on your body, great. Of course, do I think the only way to be good is to go and only do everything at 100%? No. And please, let's not bring that to this channel. I am not here where it's everything or nothing. Even a little bit is better than nothing, and you are always okay to work your way up there. Guys, you're talking to someone that has been making a lot of things from scratch for some years now, okay? Even down to the salves. Guys, yes, I make tinctures, I make salves, I make, what other one called with the apple cider vinegar? I make a lot of things from scratch. However, I definitely don't think everyone needs to jump whole cold turkey into that or ever get into 100% of anything. So I said all that to say, what I'm about to show you, I need you to have an open mind, because everybody is not swimming in money. And it's very easy to be like, well, just save this and just do this. They can do that while doing this so that they can start the process, because there's absolutely no reason to drop big money. And some of these, stuff that I've shown you before cost more money than necessary to actually go ahead and garden. I want it to be accessible to all. So I started my pepper seeds, and we have sprouts. I've shown you some sprouts. Here are some more. I have 3 different type of peppers here. The monkey yellow face, which is a spicy, bigger pepper. Really nice. I have the sugar rush peach bell pepper here. That's also there. And then I have the habanada. That's also a spicy pepper. And then I have the habanada pepper. That's in the middle. That has one sprout coming on. That is not as spicy. It's a habanero, habanero flavor, but no spice. I have good germination here. I did not even use great soil with this because I have more of that potting mix that had too many wood chips going on in here, because I actually had run out of the seed starting bag, and I bought some more now, but this is back when I had run out of that. So, and I still have starts, and I would say the starts are pretty hardy. Okay? This is what I'm talking about, and I'm going to show you other containers. This is where I buy organic strawberries. I believe this one was from Trader Joe's. I just saved the container. What's great about this specific container is there are already slits on the side, and it also comes with a top. I use that lid, and I just push these down like this and cover this soil, and this helped to keep everything moist. Pull it back up because I don't need it. Then once I had about 4 or 5 of these seedlings popping up, maybe 4, I took off the lid and I let them just rock, and we're still having germination. That means the only thing I had to buy, and I'm not counting the seeds. You can in fact count the seed prices in here. The only thing I had to buy was the soil to go in this, because I already bought this. And what's great is this single-use plastic is being used a second time. So as opposed to finishing up your strawberries and dashing this in the garbage, I went ahead and saved it. You can save quite a few of these and start all of your seeds in something like this. Will you need to up pot? There's a chance. I am in zone 6. If I started my pepper seeds towards the end of March, I probably would not need to up pot this if I was planting about 2 seeds per section, right? 2, let them grow up. They would be smaller than what I intend to put out in my garden, but they would be feasible, and then you would not need to worry about up potting. Yes. I think it's very pertinent that we think of, yes, let's offer up these more expensive options because they are better in the long run, but using these type of options are completely feasible for sure. Red Solo cups are great. Does everyone use red Solo cups? Absolutely not. So when it comes to not having to spend any money for containers, stuff you actually consume and saving those containers could be very beneficial to you. This had my grapes in them. I saved this, and this is something we're going to start seeds in today. This also has holes in it. Seal this and then let my starts pop up. Right? This is that greenhouse effect taking place, and it'll be able to keep it more moist. For both of these, I did, to the best of my ability, rip off the tag so that the sunlight will get in. But for something like this where the top doesn't come off, I will just go ahead and cut off this top. If your intention is to use this for at least 2 growing seasons, don't cut the top off, because this greenhouse effect will help you. Just take it off and put it towards the back so that this is not flapping on top of other seedlings. Does that make sense? So you can save those too. If you buy strawberries once a week, which we go through a lot of fruit, okay? In the summertime, I definitely go to local spots and buy their produce, but in the colder months, we just go to the supermarket, and we could just stack them, just save them, put them away, put them in a cabinet. The other thing, every so often we go to pliables. So this is one of the pliables. The difference between this and the strawberry and grape container is there are no holes in this. I did go ahead and take a knife and stab some slits into here, and I've already tested it by filling this up with soil. All the soil is already moist, and doing this, did you see that water come out? It is able to release some of the liquid. So that is another single-use plastic that you would have thrown away that you can go ahead and keep. This are water bottles. So during that, in preparation of the storm, there was a sale on the smaller water bottles, and I have small children, and their backwash means I am not about to put their water bottles to my mouth, and they are more likely to want a new water bottle before finishing the old large water bottle. So I said, oh, it's on sale, might as well grab them the smaller ones. So the water bottles were only about this big, so I only cut off, whatever, as big as I could, and save the bottom. This is another one that does not have holes in the bottom naturally, so I just pierced some holes in the bottom of this. This is not something, for me personally, I think is gonna last, but someone who takes better care of their stuff could possibly have this last 2 growing seasons, like in one year. Maybe you start in the, spring growing and fall growing. So this, I have these 2 here. I could have saved a couple more of these. I didn't even think of these until later than the other ones, but you really could stack up and save those type of things. Reusing stuff. I'm not going to reuse this myself, but you could definitely reuse this. This is another Trader Joe's. Yeah, this is their Danish sugar cookies gingerbread snaps. I got this around Christmas time. You most definitely could pierce holes in this. Now, I would, for this, something like this, personally take a screwdriver, heat it with a lighter, and then poke it through, and it would do that. And then let it dry down and poke it throughout the back so that the plastic isn't coming up, and then there's little flecks from inside of it. And then fill this up with soil. Now, I did see the Millennial Gardener use the pickled containers from Costco, and it looked like he didn't put any holes in the bottom of it. He is much more experienced in gardening though, so his ability to tell when something it has enough water or needs more water is probably significantly higher than the average newer gardener. So take time with that. You could just put soil in this and try to start, but you would have to be much more mindful about how much water you're putting in this, because then it wouldn't have a way to leak out unless you were to put holes in here. And or you can use this as a tray, right, to hold stuff like this, like that big tray, and you can have this with the holes in it, and you could definitely put 4 of these in here and put the water in this, and then the water bottles would suck up the water through the smaller slits that you would put at the bottom. There are a ton of ways to start seeds, like to find containers to start seeds without having to stress yourself out. The winter sowing method, where they use the jugs that we started, remember we did that? Yeah, that's outside, but you could also cut off the whole top of that and use that bottom bin to start seeds inside of your house. Most definitely. I could keep going on. There's a bunch of different things that you can use to start seeds. I've seen people take plastic bag and start seeds. What does that mean to me? Well, though, that would be your first use of those plastic bags. So what would be something comparable of that to reuse a plastic? You know those bags the grapes come in? And they have the holes in it? Put some soil in there. Put some seeds in there. I think they would start. Your seeds don't need much to sprout, right? So anything almost would be very useful to you. This is the top of the pliable container. Now I am going to personally use this as a dome, a heat dome. I will probably put a slit or 2 in this, or maybe I'll just leave it. I won't fully cover it. Maybe I'll just have it like this so that it does get some air in this, because you don't want this to turn anaerobic. But my point of saying this is you could do it like that, or you could have 2 starting things. Something like onions would be okay in something like this, or you could start peppers and tomatoes and just know you're gonna have to up pot. It really could take you, honestly, 1 paycheck, 2 weeks, maybe even 2 paychecks, 4 weeks, whatever. And you could start your stuff in there, and then the second that next paycheck comes, that's all you were needed to wait for, but you needed to start your seeds to get good, decent harvest, to hold off, to be able to then switch an up pot to something bigger or deeper. Does that make sense? Gardening is for everybody, and I want everyone to be able to garden, because you can. I'm not a big fan of the put the stuff by the window, because I find I don't particularly have, to my knowledge, a window that I think gets enough sunlight to start, but you might. Seriously, you might. And there's nothing wrong with trying, especially if you go and buy cheaper seeds, which is what I would advocate for, or to even talk to somebody you know that likes gardening. They might willingly give you a couple of seeds to attempt to start. Dollar Tree seeds work just fine. And my gardener has the most, as far as I'm concerned, affordable seeds on a regular basis. I'm not talking like discounts, because if you're gonna talk discounts now, those seeds are very cheap. But like on a regular basis, their seeds are the cheapest of like the small, like the seed companies that really actually care about home gardeners, his pricing is insane. M.I. Gardner, Luke is the owner. Very, very good seeds for me personally, okay? Everybody's gonna have a difference of interactions with everything, every business. There's not one business on this planet where there's not at least a handful of people that complain about it. If it isn't, it hasn't been around long enough. It's a baby business. But for me personally, I truly like M.I. Gardner, and I think his seeds are fairly reliable. That's what I have to say on that. So let's start with some seeds really quick. And see what's up with that. I am not going to start any of the seeds of the tomato plants that are my primary crop, because I do feel like I am still about 2 weeks, at least a week and a half, too early to be starting these seeds. So let's see what we can start here. All right, so we're gonna start some Dad's Sunset. Ooh. I've never grown this before. I bought this for 2026. So there should be a really good amount of seeds that I can start some now and also start a few at the appropriate time to be starting these seeds. Oh, what is the minimum for this? 25. There's a lot in here. So I'm definitely gonna start. I got 5 seeds in my hand, so I'm gonna start off 5 of these. I'm gonna put this in my pliables. I'm gonna just put all my seeds on the top and then recover them up with soil. So that entire thing is just gonna be Dad's Sunset. And did I show you how beautiful this is? Oh my goodness, so gorgeous. The perfect orange tomato, large 10-ounce fruit, is very smooth, uniform, and keeps very well. One of our most flavorful varieties. Definitely would like to see how well that keeps. Very beautiful tomato. That's Sunset. Today is Friday the 13th. All right. I believe Mortgage Lifter is something I want to plant pretty well. I'm not going to touch the orange oxheart or that one. All right, let's go ahead and plant out. We're going to do the Giant Crimson and the Casaluto Genovese. So I'm going to put 2 of these Casaluto Genovese. I don't mind having excesses of this Casaluto Genovese because I have no problem giving them to my neighbor who's also was highly interested. Whoops. I'm putting 2 in the water bottles each. So that's 4 seeds. Okay, I'm gonna put 1 more. Okay. These are from Wild Boar Farms. I have so many seeds of the Casaluto Genovese. I could just experiment with them and have no problems. Okay. I'm definitely not doing any bushes this early. Definitely not touching my Dr. Weiss, not my Thornburn terracotta, not my bread and salt. Patios are technically small, young too. Let's go ahead and just do the Gesundheit. This is also a newer one, and the minimum is 25, so there's gonna be enough for sure for me to start later on, enough that even if these got too big, like let's say these get big and I'm like, I have to put these out a little earlier, I'll put them underneath my polytunnel and then cover them and see if they'll survive a little earlier. That'll be our own little experiment. I have 2, 4, there's a lot of seeds in here. 2, 4, 6, maybe 7. Is that another one attached to that one? I'm gonna plant these in the grape container. I said I was gonna start some peppers. I think I said that too. Guys, I just, my bad. Okay, that's it. I have had this, like, I need to start some tomato going on, and now I feel like I got to start a little bit. So this is the Gesundheit, Gesundheit or Gesundheit? Gesundheit. And now, I go ahead and take some seed starting mix. And cover everything. And then I will go ahead and, you know, wet the top of this since I've just, woo. And I'm gonna lightly pat it down to make sure it has contact with the soil, the seed. Boom. I'll wet this and then cover whatever has a cover, which will be the grape because it's attached. And then will also be the pliable. So the only thing that won't be covered that I started today will be the water bottles, which I could have done my own greenhouse effect, which is keep the tops that had cut off and retape it back on like I do for the one outside. I didn't. That's okay. I'm not rushing for these to sprout. I'll keep my eye on it. Anyway, let's talk down in the comment section about some affordable ways to containers and stuff that you can grow in. And whatever else I talked about. Thank you so much for watching this whole video. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And hopefully I see you in my next one. Bye-bye.